September 1945. Two men stand for a photograph. One of them is a god. It is the small one on the photograph. For centuries, no Japanese subject was allowed to look the emperor in the eye. Now his face is in every newspaper in the country, standing next to a man who didn't bother to button his shirt. The god looks like a clock. The foreigner looks comfortable. That was the point. Let's go off script. How a general ruled Japan by disappearing. The 30th of August 1945, 2 weeks after the surrender, a single aircraft lands at the Japanese military airfield. The man who steps out is unarmed. Behind him, a country that built its entire war machine on dying before it would surrender. Kamikaze pilots, soldiers who choose the grenade over the prison camp. And into the middle of it walks one American general, no weapon, no helmet. He's wearing sunglasses, he's carrying a corncob pipe. He poses in the doorway for the cameras. Douglas MacArthur understood something most conquerors forget. The first photograph of an occupation is the one a country never stops looking at. So he didn't land like a soldier. He landed like a man who already knew the image would outlive him. He was right, it did. 3 days later, he stages the surrender on a battleship in Tokyo Bay. Not a quiet signing in a tent, a ceremony, cameras, ranks of officers, a speech about building a better world out of the blood and the carnage.
That from this solemn occasion, a better world shall emerge out of the blood and carnage of the past. A world founded upon faith and understanding. A world dedicated to the dignity of man and the fulfillment of his most cherished wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice.
It looked like the arrival of Japan's new ruler, for exactly as long as it takes for the cameras to stop rolling. There was already a ruler, sort of. Hirohito had spent his entire life unseen. A living deity, 80 million people bowed every morning to a man most of them had never heard speak, until the surrender broadcast, when the nation heard his voice for the first time in history and barely understood the archaic curt Japanese he spoke it in. That was power, Japanese style, sacred, sealed, behind the walls. In Germany, the Allies were hanging the men at the top.
The privilege of opening the first trial in history for crimes against the peace of the world imposes a grave responsibility.
MacArthur did something his own side could not believe. He kept the emperor. Voices back home wanted Hirohito tried, hanged. MacArthur refused. Pull out the throne, he reasoned, and the whole country might come down with it, and you'd be governing a riot instead of a nation. So he didn't remove the god. He did something stranger. He made the god go outside. On New Year's Day 1946, pushed by the Americans, the emperor announces he was never divine. And then MacArthur sends out that man into its own country, to factories, to coal mines, to towns he had never seen, to be looked at, to wave, to be photographed shaking hands to people who, a year earlier, would not have been permitted to raise their eyes to him. A god who waves at factory workers is not a god anymore. He is a neighbor. And every step Hirohito took into the light was a step MacArthur took the other way. Here is the thing nobody photographed. While the emperor toured the country, the general who landed like a Hollywood star for the cameras stopped appearing for them. Same car, same route, residence to office, office to residence. He almost never walked among the people he was rebuilding. 5 years of occupation. He commanded 80 million people. Most of them never saw his face.
In Tokyo, thousands of Japanese flocked to the Daiichi building, the Supreme Allied headquarters, to see the 71-year-old five-star general.
It wasn't a failure of access. It was the design. When the occupation needed an American face at a public event, it usually wasn't his. He sent his wife, he sent his son. In 5 years, the man rewriting Japan barely told the country he was rewriting. The people noticed. They gave him names after the warlord who once ran the country from the shadows behind the throne. The White Emperor, MacArthur, the new Shogun. He led them because in Japan, the power had never belonged to the man on the throne. It belonged to the man no one was allowed to see. MacArthur didn't take the throne. It took the place behind it. History rarely collapses all at once. Usually it changes quietly, behind closed doors, inside private rooms, among people convinced nobody is watching. This was History of Script. You know where to find me.